right, it's 9 o'clock on this Tuesday night. We are back.
Yes, we are.
After one night off. This is the Live Zone Primetime. I'm producer Chris. That's Tony P. Thank you so much for joining us on after what has been a very busy weekend weather-wise.
Yeah, I mean, I got to tell you, this feels like a holiday week a little bit where you don't really know what day it is because we've had a lot of snow days. All the kids are out basically till Friday, so it just has that feel of just this like week that blurs into one another. And this weather, I'll tell you, I mean, we're getting hammered with complete snow this past weekend. Then we have the polar vortex Arctic nightmare that's coming through here. Okay, that should be its own little storm with how bad this is with the cold wind and everything. Then you have potentially, if we're looking at some of the models, we might have another storm in our way. Okay?
Won't you dare wish that on
us.
No,
but last time, Chris, I was very much hoping against it, and it happened. So I'm thinking, I'm using reverse psychology. Okay. It's just like this is my Super Bowl prediction, right? I have not talked about the Patriots very much this entire year, and now they're one win away from getting me a seventh title.
We have plenty more time.
So reverse psychology does work, my friends.
Okay.
Also, voodoo dolls, those work too.
Those work too. Also, what was like the old school thing that people used to do? They would like turn their socks or wear their pajamas inside out. When
yes,
they wanted a snow day.
or don't walk in the cracks on the sidewalk. You know, that was a big one too.
Do not do that.
I mean, these kids are getting. They'll get 3-4 days out of this, if not 5. Because who's going to go back on a Friday?
Yeah,
really?
so we already, and that's going to be our big story. So we might as well get right into it.
Well, let's debate that for the next 5 minutes.
Because we do have to talk about the weather right at 9. It's cold out there. You know that if you've been outside, and it's not warming up anytime soon. That means all that snow and ice still on the roads and sidewalks, not going anywhere anytime soon either. And as a result, Tony P, most schools are closed again tomorrow. Some of them already closed Thursday.
Really?
Including Montgomery County as well. So all of those parents out there who stuck at home with their kids, or, you know, good or bad, depending on how you feel about it.
I mean, if you have separate rooms, it's a good idea.
Full list of school closures on our website, fox5dc.com. In the meantime, people continue to dig out and hope the plows will finally make it to their neighborhoods.
Look at that.
Fox 5 out all across the DMV region today, especially along some of those still snowy side streets. At the same time, though, we are keeping an eye on another potential winter storm. That's what Tony P just talked about. Making its way up the East Coast. Hopefully it stays out to the south and east, but we will get a full update from meteorologist Mike Thomas at the top of the hour right here on Fox Local. At the same time, Josh Rosenthal is going to have more on the snow removal process in Montgomery County. We mentioned schools already closed tomorrow and Thursday in the county. David Kaplan is tracking the economic impact the winter weather has had in the Commonwealth, and Shamari Stone has a warning about why it's so important to make sure you completely clean all that snow and ice off your car before you hit the road. That's all coming up tonight at 10.
Well, they should be reminded of that, Chris.
On Fox 5.
Yeah, I mean, think about this. I mean, we have the rule. We have a rule in Massachusetts, in Boston, Massachusetts, where I'm from, New England, whole 9 yards, that it's a very, very steep fine. And if anything happens where there's an accident, you are held liable for anything that comes off your car. And I think people should be reminded of that, where, hey, you don't dust the top of your car off, and there's ice now with this cold weather and the wind and the freezing rain, you're going to be held liable. Remind people of this and say, hey, you will be held liable if there's an accident or worse coming out of this, because one little chip off the back of a car or van can hit your windshield and cause 9,000 different things.
And that's what Shamar is going to talk about tonight at 10 o'clock. We also talked about on the 7:30 half hour, Do You Like It or Not, a little earlier tonight, about how Maryland is taking action, possibly to institute fines for people who don't do that. DC already fines people who don't shovel their sidewalks in a timely manner. There's different fines whether you're a resident or whether you're a business. Tony, what has you commute via Metro?
Yes, I do.
What has your commute been like? What has your time around DC been like throughout the? We didn't get to see you last night. We had a little special.
Yes, we had a very good special, by the way,
which we'll talk about coming up in a little bit as well. But what has your experience been like throughout the course of this?
So I'll tell you. So when it first started, was it Saturday night, early into Sunday?
Late Saturday.
I was out a little bit on Saturday. I was out at Le Dip, a few other places, eating and having a good time, and getting kind of bulked up and ready. Also finishing up some shopping. I got everything, by the way, Chris. I had all the food. No joke. After the Friday show, I went to Giant Friday night and got almost everything else I needed because they had stuff at Giant in Bethesda. There was some nice stuff in there for a good price. I got 2 filet steaks for $16 a piece.
So we can expect some food content on Tony P's Instagram
Potentially,
page any
yes.
day now.
But again,
Chef
affordable.
Tony.
Affordable. But I think for the last couple of days, so I was snowed in at my girlfriend's house. We weren't doing much. Capitol Hill, we were snowed in. So the biggest thing that I noticed was just how the rain came a lot quicker than we thought. So then we got out there, and the snow was all hard. I could walk on it like right. I could walk on like an ice rink, right? So that was the biggest thing, and that meant that I couldn't really get to sidewalks or to crosswalks because I would walk and I'd slip on the snow with these shoes on.
So this is
so it was very, very
First
tough.
of all, this man is from New England. He should know better. He is not dressed for the elements.
Yeah, I'm going to wear boots. I'm going to wear boots. Really?
Boots. I'm wearing.
Yeah, on TV. Really?
You don't necessarily. You get changed when you get here, Tony P.
Listen, I don't have a dedicated office.
First of
Okay.
all, if the man wants to be a true TV news person, you never start off talking about winter storm coverage saying feels like a vacation. Okay. Nope.
Who said that?
Nope. You said this feels like a vacation week.
No. I said generally it does.
You have to be prepared with all sorts
All
of.
right.
Tony P, I am currently wearing fleece pants under my pants.
Okay, well, really?
Yeah. Well,
remember Long John some years ago?
Oh my God, I
used to
miss
with
them.
hockey. When I played
love
hockey,
them. That was my whole personality.
yes,
in college, if I'm
which
being
really
honest
I
with
was
you.
also learned to skate. I didn't do that well. I wore the Long Johns when I had my hockey equipment on.
And
it was
yet
so
he
cold.
showed up to work tonight in a full suit
Yeah.
and leather-soled shoes.
Yes, because I'm committed
Pair
to the
of
craft,
Oxfords.
baby.
I believe they're Oxfords
I think so. Yeah,
with a cap toe.
exactly. And they're a little bit worn out. But I'll say this
They look
overall.
good. I mean, he looks good.
The
but
Metro was great.
Impractical.
The Metro was very well done. It was I think it was about between 8 to 9 minutes in between each train.
so not
Very
bad.
solid. They kept it going a little bit slower than usual. They weren't breezing by, but it was very, very well done.
Okay, so the big debate over on Sunday into Monday and now stretching into
Yes.
Tuesday was what was the correct time to shovel? And I know you didn't have to do any
Didn't
shoveling,
have to.
correct?
That's the beauty of renting.
I'm not going to throw anybody under the bus, but the Capitol Weather Gang had posted at one point on Sunday that the snow had basically stopped and that was a good time to shovel. However, there were other creator accounts out there that said, no, don't do that, because if you get that bare pavement, all of that sleet and/or freezing rain is going to fall, and then you are going to have a slick sheet of ice,
Yeah.
as opposed to that ice like you talked about. If you left the snow there, settled on top of that, and then you could shovel out underneath it. I went that route. I did not shovel at all on Sunday. Waited until Monday. Luckily, my father-in-law is here to help. He did the bulk of the work, honestly, before I even woke up for the day.
Really
But,
nice.
I mean, it made it easier, I would say. However, the flip side was it was heavy, and there were giant chunks that we were moving, basically off the driveway.
Right.
in the town. But
It breaks up like ice.
This was, I don't know if you remember, but this was my question for Mike Thomas on Friday night.
Okay.
When was the correct time to shovel?
Right.
I still don't know whether, what the right answer was.
Well, I saw people that were doing it kind of every couple hours. They were getting ahead of it. They were treating it on their own. And the biggest thing is the timing between when the plows get there, where there's more salting that's done. You have some things that are out of your control when you live in a city like DC or even a city like Bethesda, because it's very much urban, and again, there's some suburban angles to it, but there's a lot of city-based resources and a lot of on-the-street parking, things of that nature. When you're living in the suburbs, you kind of have a little bit more autonomy over what you're putting on your driveway. Your HOA is usually a part of this. So I think you can kind of, your destiny's in your own hands, versus with DC is a little bit more up in the
Still
air.
leads to my question of when was the right time to shovel. Anyway,
I think just periodically, every couple hours.
we're going to be talking about snow and weather every night probably this week. That is one of the big stories we're following. The other big story we are following today is from the NTSB, one of their final hearings today, as we approach the 1-year anniversary of that deadly crash over the Potomac River outside of DCA. Coming up next, we're going to hear from the head of the NTSB why she says this was a 100% preventable tragedy. And then we'll talk a little bit more about some of the recommendations that we could see on the other side of this with one of our policy analysts. We're going to take a quick break. We'll be right back. Let me leave you with a live picture here from our Skycam at National Harbor. Welcome back to the Live Zone Primetime on this Tuesday night. Now, coming up on Thursday, we will mark 1 year since the deadly collision at DCA Airport that killed 67 people. Today, though, the NTSB said that crash was 100% preventable. The agency delivered a draft of its final report during a public hearing, and the board members stated one simple fact, that it's never one thing but a series of events or system failures that lead to aviation disasters, including this one. The NTSB showed animations it created showing what it would have looked like from both the helicopter and Flight 5342's cockpits. The board members criticized the FAA for failing to follow through on past recommendations for aircraft crash avoidance systems and to better staff air traffic control towers, especially around complex airspaces like we have around DC.
Today, you will hear how deep underlying systemic failures, system flaws aligned to create the conditions that led to this devastating tragedy. From design of our airspace around DCA to the limitations of see and avoid, which we've been warning about for over 5 decades, to failures of entire organizations to evaluate and act on readily available data, heed repeated recommendations, and foster robust safety cultures, to name a few.
That was NTSB Chairwoman Jennifer Homendy. The board will issue its final report about the probable cause and new recommendations in about 2 weeks. The FAA has already restricted helicopter flights around Reagan National Airport. So for more on today's hearing and what comes next, policy analyst Marley Hornick joins us now live on the Live Zone Primetime. Thanks so much for joining us tonight.
It's wonderful to be here.
So first and foremost, I want to get some of your initial takeaways from today's hearing.
Well, one of the things that I thought was really shocking was the statistic that there were 15,000 incidents where this kind of collision almost happened between 2021 and 2025. So 15,000 times when a commercial airliner and a military helicopter were within 1 nautical mile and 400 vertical feet of each other. So as that brilliant woman was saying, I mean, a total system failure under the previous administration, and thank goodness for the changes that we're seeing coming already.
When you think about this issue of air traffic, control, 50 years of these policies being recommended from many presidents across the political spectrum, from a policy perspective, why do you think this type of stuff gets ignored by a ton of administrations until something like this happens? Is there a reason for that? Is it not public enough at this point?
Honestly, I think that it would have more attention on it if people understood why the FAA exists. Why does the federal government even hire air traffic controllers and manage these systems? And it's very simple. If you go back to the founders' America, it is a protected property right, a due process right of every American to be able to travel around the country and have business negotiations and operations. If you have a right to use your mind, use your hands, use your grit, and all of your creativity and ingenuity to create abundance for your family and create benefit for your community and your nation, you have to be able to travel freely. And that is exactly why the federal government funds all of this infrastructure. And I think if people understood what was at stake, they would be demanding this. It would be as popular of a program as many of the other ones that people are offering, clamoring to be increased.
Interesting. So you see it more as introducing people to why it matters, and again, making it kind of a kitchen table issue versus this sort of technical thing in the background.
Right. Well, I think we just take it for granted.
Right.
We don't really, it's invisible to us, right? If we want to go somewhere, if we want to visit grandma, if we want to sign a business deal. I mean, you guys were talking before about how much money has been lost in the weather issues just from these past few days.
Yeah.
Think about how much money is lost when the airport infrastructure is shut down. It's unimaginable. Huge impact on the economy locally, nationally. So I think if people realized, hey, this government doesn't have to provide this service. They provide it as a matter of civil rights, which you don't think about when you're going to the airport
No.
or you're getting screened. But that's why they do it. And of course, under that kind of philosophical framework, you want that thing operating. Everybody wants it operating. Wow, we want to do business. We're Americans.
Exactly.
So to that end, is it really an issue of the bottom line why some of these recommendations don't actually end up being implemented? Because we heard from the chairwoman today about some of the safety recommendations that they have made over the past 50 years, everything from seatbelts to airbags. They talked about, the trains. They talked about airplane collision avoidance systems. Some of these have obviously been implemented, and some of these have saved thousands of lives. So does it come down to the bottom line why some of the recommendations that they cited hadn't been implemented to this point? And what will it take to get them implemented now?
Well, I think that a lot of the administrations haven't really looked at this from this perspective. They're busy with foreign policy or domestic policy issues that appear to be, let's say they if you're talking about a bottom line, you have an economic bottom line and then you have an elections bottom line, right? So is this an issue that people get elected over? Probably not. So you don't hear about it. But what I do want to say is, the Trump administration, this current administration, has already authorized $12.5 billion appropriated in the One Big Beautiful Bill, which is now active, to start to give this entire system a facelift. So I think we're going to see a lot of positive changes coming. I know they're looking in that $12.5 billion appropriation, they're already looking at spending it on upgrading radar technology, upgrading telecommunications, upgrading weather systems and tracking, and also getting a lot of the systems that are operating right now on paper, getting them digitized so that there's more tighter control and collaboration between air sites.
And Tony and I have talked also about the effort to train more FAA operators because they're facing a staffing crisis and
huge.
have been for a number of years, Tony.
Yeah, I mean, I think an interesting thing I'd want to ask you, again, we talk about the upgrades. I've met with some people here in DC, played golf with some contractors where they're actually helping to upgrade the systems that are 1990 style technology, which is a disgrace. Across administrations, they have not done the work to actually get this done. So my question is, when we think about, this overall, what kind of political will it take to show this to voters and say, hey, this is actually going to matter for you? Will it be about, getting it out there more consistently, showing the American public in terms of progress, or is it more about just talking about the safety issue?
I think people are there already, honestly, and I think, the money's been appropriated and we're going to see these upgrades. I think if they need more money to do further upgrades, as people start to see that we're upgrading from, like, as you said, like basically a Pac-Man system.
Yeah, kind
to
of.
something
That's being kind.
At least equivalent to the ability of your cell phone to track information. I think in that deadly and horrible crash, tragic crash, I think that the helicopter was getting false readings on their elevation. So these things have to be remedied. They have to be remedied immediately. And I think with the number of problems the aviation industry has been publicly experiencing, there's a lot of political will. A lot of voters want this fixed. So I don't think it has to be sold anymore.
Do you think that it might take pressure from the administration or voters on the airline lobby, for example, or potentially politicians who like to put more routes at DCA that's overcrowding that airspace? Do you think there'll need to be sort of a détente from lawmakers wanting new routes or the airlines wanting to buy those routes?
No, I think they're all in coordination
You think so?
on this.
Okay.
Everyone is really relieved. People in the airline industry, the airline operators themselves, people who are like, collective organizations that try to collaborate across the industry.
Right.
They are all thrilled with the changes coming under the One Big Beautiful Bill. They are thrilled to see these systems finally get a modernized upgrade and become safer and avoid, obviously, the horrific crash that did take place. But think about that, 15,000 instances. It's a miracle there was only one crash.
Yeah, near misses, exactly.
Yeah. Looking ahead, Congress, the White House, and the Pentagon Congress has weighed in, the Pentagon has weighed in, the NTSB has weighed in, the FAA has weighed in. Does there need to be more of a centralized system to oversee air safety across the country, especially as more and more air travel has become more accessible than ever? There are more flights than ever. is more traffic in the air than ever. We saw during the last government shutdown this reduction in flights in order to maintain safety. Have we reached sort of a critical mass where we can't continue to add more and we need maybe to subtract? And does someone need to have more oversight over this system as a whole?
Well, I do think that is needed, and I know that's already being addressed, because one of the further projects under that appropriation is new command and control centers that integrate various airports and align them better. So, of course, we all know you go from paper to digital. It's going to also take cybersecurity professionals. We're
Right.
also going to have people monitoring those systems. We don't want any penetration. We don't want any harassment of our airlines and our air systems. But that's going to really increase and improve their ability to track things, to track the complicated movement of, let's face it, our kids, our parents, our
Right.
aunts and uncles, our families, our business partners. These are people we care about, we love them. I think about Maxim Naumov, that
Yeah.
ice skater who
Right.
lost both of his parents in that crash.
Yeah.
I mean, irreplaceable loss for this young man who heroically is now going to be in the Olympics.
Do we think that here in the DC region, we talk about Dulles a lot, it's far out, it's a different area, people like to go to DCA because it's close. Do we think that eventually we're going to have to add more capacity to a Dulles to remodel it, or can we stick with DCA being this main hub while keeping things safe?
No, we're going to have to revamp Dulles big time, and they're going to have to improve public transportation to link Dulles to DC so that there's more incentive to use a second airport. I think DCA is so convenient.
Yeah.
I mean, when I come into DCA, I don't even look at Dulles flights. I just
I don't either.
It's
No.
so convenient to fly into DCA, and that's what everybody wants
Right,
to do.
it
We're
is.
all in a rush.
Exactly.
So,
And we
yeah,
go to convenience.
They're going to have to do that. I agree. And I do see signs that that's going to be coming. But they're also going to have to improve public transportation to get those tourists, lobbyists, whoever is coming in. We got to get them into DC more quickly and more efficiently, convenient.
More metro lines, basically, kind of going more instead of the one that they have, which is
and not just that, but also upgrading, the infrastructure for things like Amtrak too.
right.
Things that have kind of fallen by the wayside over the years, and now with everyone trying to get where they're going quicker. A lot more still to be done. Marley Hornick, thank you
Yes.
so much for spending some time with us
Thank you
here
very
on the
much.
Live Zone Prime
Thanks
Time and breaking
again.
this down. Now, obviously, we have looked at this from more of a policy standpoint. Last night, we took a closer look at the victim impact. 1 year later, the deadly DCA collision, Reagan National Airport. This is a special that you can catch streaming now on Fox Local and Fox 5 DC's YouTube page. We talked to several of the victims' family members, all about the family members they lost, but also what they want to see happen from these recommendations from the NTSB and what they hope to happen with their pending legal cases. Katie Barlow and myself got a chance to talk to some of them. We also talked to aviation experts and an attorney. You can catch that streaming now on Fox Local and Fox 5 DC's YouTube page. We're going to take another quick break. When we come back, Tony P is going to talk to us about some of the stories that he's been watching today, and a lot of stories involving immigration and custom enforcement. We'll be right back. right, welcome back to the Live Zone Primetime on this Tuesday night. Here with Tony P. I'm producer Chris, and it's time to find out some of the other stories Tony P's been keeping an eye on.
And it's a lot of
this Tuesday night.
And of course, this is our first Live Zone Primetime since the tragic killing of Alex Preddy in Minneapolis over the weekend. We send our prayers and love to his family at this time, the people of Minneapolis. But we're going to start with that because President Trump is weighing in on the killing of Alex Preddy, the 37-year-old ICU nurse and U.S. citizen who was shot and killed by Border Patrol agents during a federal immigration operation in Minneapolis this past weekend. President Trump said Preddy, quote-unquote, shouldn't have been carrying a gun, even though authorities said he was legally armed under Minnesota law and had a valid permit. The comment has sparked backlash from gun rights groups and some Republicans who argue lawful gun ownership does not justify deadly force. The video shows Preddy filming agents before he was pepper sprayed, taken to the ground, and tragically killed. The case has fueled protests and intensified scrutiny of federal immigration tactics, including the removal of Agent Bovino today in Minneapolis with the replacement of Tom Homan as the new commander at large. That scrutiny is now reaching the courts as well. Minnesota's chief federal judge, Patrick Slitz, has ordered acting ICE director Todd Lyons to personally appear in court and warned that he could be held in contempt if he did not do so. The judge says ICE reportedly ignored court orders tied to a large enforcement surge, including missed bond hearings and unauthorized detainee transfers. He also made clear immigration enforcement does not override judicial authority. Those legal questions overlap with another case tied to immigration enforcement in Minneapolis. A federal judge has blocked the deportation and transfer of five-year-old Liam Ramos and his father after they were detained in Minneapolis and moved to a family detention center in Texas. The order pauses the case while litigation continues, and lawyers say the father has a pending asylum claim and argue that Liam's detention shows the human impact of aggressive enforcement. DHS at this time has disputed those claims. Overseas, U.S. immigration policy is also drawing criticism. Italian officials are pushing back against plans for ICE agents to assist with security tied to the 2026 Winter Olympics in Milan Cortina. Leaders in Milan have called the agency unwelcome, and U.S. officials say the role would be limited to coordination and transnational threat support. New census estimates show U.S. population growth slowed again in 2025, with the population reaching about 341.8 million people. Growth was roughly 0.5%, one of the slowest rates in decades. Immigration accounted for most of the increase, adding about 1.3 million people, while births only narrowly outpaced deaths as the population continued to age. Growth was strongest in the South and West, while parts of the Midwest and Northeast of the United States lost population. In the world of education, Yale announced today expanded financial aid options for students. Families earning under $100,000 a year will now have full costs covered, including tuition and board, while families under $200,000 of income will qualify for free tuition purely. Yale says the move is aimed at widening access and reducing student debt across the board. In the world of business, UPS plans to cut about 30,000 jobs this year and close at least 24 facilities as part of a major restructuring effort. The company points to lower margin shipping declines and a shift against higher margin logistics, including healthcare distribution to compete with Amazon and others. In the world of entertainment, newly unsealed court filings in the legal battle involving Blake Lively and Justin Baldoni, connected to It Ends With Us, include private text messages involving Taylor Swift. Reports say Swift is upset that personal messages unrelated to the core dispute became public. The texts show her supporting Lively and expressing frustration, raising fresh questions about privacy in this high-profile case. Also in the world of Hollywood, actress Sydney Sweeney is drawing attention after a promotional stunt tied to her lingerie brand Surin and its release to the world today. This also involved bras being placed near the Hollywood sign, and the Hollywood Chamber of Commerce says no permission was granted and is reviewing how access was gained. City officials say fines are potentially possible in this case. And finally, a bright spot from Sweden as we do the major good news now and again. A major pharmacy chain is testing a friend care policy, unquote, that gives employees paid time to build social connections, part of an effort to address workplace loneliness and overall employee well-being. Listen, you get paid to make friends, learn how to do that. I'm all down for that, Chris. We should do that because we're already friends. Maybe we can make some money off this.
I don't hate it, but it's really a sign of the times.
Seems kind of forced, but you know what?
Let's put
Hey,
it that way.
I'm okay with that. Now, this whole Sydney Sweeney situation with her new lingerie brand that got released today across the social media channels, I mean, basically, they're saying she broke into the Hollywood sign and basically.
She had permission to film there. She didn't have permission to basically
right,
touch the sign.
Right, and
Here's
she
what I'll
basically
say.
did, potentially.
Sydney Sweeney knows anything she does, it becomes huge news. So
Yes.
we would not even know she had a lingerie line.
And how do you pronounce that?
unless she
Siren? Is
had
it siren?
done it, I guess.
Siren?
Yeah, probably
I'll call it siren.
Siren
But
seems right.
I mean, it's interesting because she is going through sort of a kind of a public pivot, or she's having a lot of trying to balance the PR side of things, whether it be some of her comments in that interview back at the end of last year in terms of some of her
Well,
public
this really
stances.
all kind of stems back to that American Eagle ad, too.
Yeah,
with
the American Eagle, of course,
jeans.
you're right. The jeans ad, she didn't really respond to it adequately, according to some. Then she did. Also, her relationship with Scooter Braun, that whole
She's
thing is a part of it,
clickbait
too.
No matter what.
Yeah, and it looks like it's becoming strategy, potentially.
Tony, I want to go back to what you led with, which is the situation in Minnesota. And I want to get to some video that's new tonight, because earlier tonight, Representative Ilhan Omar was holding a town hall talking about ICE and basically speaking out against it when someone in the crowd sprayed her with an unknown clear liquid. You'll see it happen in just about a second here. He was immediately tackled and led out. She defiantly said she was going to continue with her town hall, which she did, despite the fact that people in the audience encouraged her to seek medical treatment. So far, there has been no word on that suspect's identity, his motivation, or what he sprayed on her. But we have seen, we recently heard about another member of Congress at Sundance being attacked.
Right, Maxwell Frost, who's the only Gen Z member of Congress.
Yeah,
and he's really a great representative for my generation.
Not what we want to see.
Yeah, I mean, it was basically a racial attack.
She's okay, and but we just wanted to bring you a quick update on that.
Thank you, Chris, for doing that. Because that's heartbreaking. I mean, first of all, it's a member of Congress, public figure, and I know politicians and people in the public life put themselves out there, but to have to deal with that and a horrible attack, and then you have Maxwell Frost at Sundance being a victim of a racist attack, and we have not seen a ton of actors from there speaking out about what happened there, and he was, hurt very badly in that event, and it just truly, when we're seeing what happened with Alex Preddy and the bipartisan backlash to what happened and the tragic killing of him, and just we see also with his family putting out the statement over the weekend and what he was doing, and there's government footage. Our great Jim Lokay said it last night on the Final Five. The videos directly contradict what the government said about this man, and an ICU nurse and helping out our veterans. We are at potentially a boiling point. What's happening already there. What's happening in Minneapolis, and we're seeing the shift from the president, whether it be letting go of Bavino and adding in Tom Homan. But this fight is going to extend to Congress this week on Thursday when they vote on the appropriations bills. Will this Homeland Security bill pass? I don't think it will. I think Democrats will eventually come together and probably shut the government down in a partial way.
We'll continue to follow this right here on the live Zone Primetime and here on Fox 5. In the meantime, Tony P., we're going to change gears after the break. We're going to talk about a story that I think you'll love, because we are talking about building community and connections, and we're doing it one step at a time.
That.
The founder of the MOCO Walking Club is going to join us live coming up next. First, though, we're going to take a quick break, leave you with a live shot of Frederick, Maryland from our Fox 5 Skycam. We'll be right back. Welcome back to the Live Zone Primetime on this Tuesday night. Tony P., I think you're going to love this next story.
Oh, I know I will.
Because it's all about building connection.
So wholesome.
It's about community, and it's about combating the loneliness epidemic.
Thank you. I think these
are all things Tony P.
I don't even need to hear any more.
These are all things Tony P. loves. I saw this story today on the Banner Montgomery Instagram page, and I immediately thought of you because, like I said, it's all about those community aspects. Jessie Balter moved to Montgomery County from Miami last year for an internship. Now, after a solo walk in Gaithersburg back in November, she posted a TikTok inviting people to join her on her next walk. Tony, more than 40 people showed up for that one. Now she's helping other people build community and make friends one step at a time with the MOCO Walking Club. And tonight, Jessie joins us live to talk about her movement and more. Jessie, thank you so much for joining us here on the Live Zone Primetime.
Hi, thank you so much for having me.
All right, so you have like more than 800 members of this walking club now. Is that correct?
Yeah, we're actually at 920 as of a few minutes ago.
That's amazing.
Yeah,
that was basically 1,000. That's unbelievable.
Hopefully after this, even more. So, like I said, I saw your story today on this, and I immediately loved it because I love this idea of using social media for connection when so often we talk about how it's basically isolating people.
Right.
Can you talk to me a little bit more about that?
Yeah, I definitely agree. I mean, I think social media has done huge things. So that's kind of why I threw my TikTok out in the first place. I didn't think it would reach 40,000 people, but it definitely tapped into some loneliness that we see online. And just a want to get off the screen, I think, and really get into your community and make some friends. So I think that's a really big win that social media has. Like, we're on our phone all the time, so finding people around you that are also doing the same thing kind of brings you together out in the community.
So what do you think it is about the power of just walking together that really can bring individuals who don't know each other together and learning about one another? What is it about that walk per se?
Yeah, I think a walk is very low stakes. You're not really paying anything, you're just showing up as you are. And walking in itself brings you a lot of serotonin and dopamine and getting in your movement for your body. And it's just an easy way to kind of get to know someone in a casual way, and being in nature is so great. So right now it's pretty cold, so it's not so great walking in the cold weather right now. But I think bringing people out of their houses into the community and showing up just as they are in this casual walking community is just what's really made it grow so much, because people love to be outside, people love to walk, and it's bringing everyone together.
So you have kind of built this community, which is amazing, and it's kind of evolved beyond you. You have this Discord channel now where you talked about how, there are sort of these sub-channels, and people have found babysitters through this. What does it feel like to kind of be responsible for bringing all of these strangers together for something, and forming this connection?
It's so powerful, and it's so special to me, being an observer in the chat. And we have all these chats for moms, for runners, for Latinas, for LGBTQ+. You can find people that you connect with and really identify with. So it's really special to see people that are in the same area being able to find each other online and then eventually meet up, whether it's at a walk or at an event. So it's been very special, and I'm so grateful to see how the community has come together based off what was kind of on accident. I was looking for 3 friends, and here are almost 1,000 people getting together and building such an incredible community. And
on these walks, what is the structure? Is there a certain topic that everybody talks about? Is it a certain distance? Are there different games that are played, or kind of introductory items or icebreakers that are done? How does the walk actually go structurally? I know it's kind of a deep question, but how does it go, kind of play by play?
Yeah, so usually I'll throw out a few walking trail suggestions in our chat, and people vote on where they want to go and what time works best for them. And when we arrive to the trail, they're all around Montgomery County, so everyone usually drives there. Sometimes people will carpool now. I like to make them stand in a circle and say their names, which a lot of people hate, but we usually say our name, how old we are, where we live, around the area. Sometimes we share our career, and sometimes they hate it, but I make them share a fun fact. It's just a funny way to break the ice.
No, it's how I did it at camp, when we were kids. That's how we did it.
Right. Right, and I was a camp counselor, so I think that's really
Yep,
fine.
so was I.
Here now, yeah. Usually our walks are about like 3 miles or around an hour. So I like to try and find a trail that has a loop that we can do a few times. And sometimes they're more hikes than walks. Like we found that they've been a bit more challenging than expected. But it's been really fun. A lot of dogs show up and people will bring some friends like from outside MOCO Club, and everyone just comes together and gets their steps in, gets their body moving, and makes some friends at the same time.
So I want to come back to this idea of making friends. Obviously, you had moved here, so you may have had friends back in Miami, but you're in a new area. Why do you think it's kind of hard to make friends? And is it harder here in the DMV now that you've been here for about a year? Do you have any sort of like insights into what it's like here in the DMV? And is it unique in that sense?
That's a good question. I think making friends at any age or any place is hard. That's part of life. For me, I moved here like late July, so it's only been like 6 months now at this point. And I did come from a bigger community of friends when I lived in Florida. So coming here, I transitioned to a 9 to 5, and I felt like I was just stuck inside after the workday, pretty tired, and I didn't really have anyone to reach out to, which is why I would go on walks. And then I had that idea like, oh, it would be nice to have someone just go on a walk with me after a long day at work. But to answer your question about making friends in the DMV, I think the DMV is unique that it's so diverse and there are so many people, but at the same time it's hard to put yourself out there, and it's hard to go outside and like find people that you relate to. So I think I really tapped into the want for community, but not really knowing where to find it, because myself, when I moved here, I was like, where do I even make friends? I don't want to go alone to the mall or the bar or wherever you make friends. Like it's kind of difficult to figure out where to do it. So I feel like I definitely opened this opportunity for people to just show up as they are and come alone and find a friend when they leave.
What do you think are people's biggest fears when trying to meet new people, especially in our generation with post-COVID and the technology just really being put on us? What is that biggest fear, and how do you see people overcoming that?
I'd say there's a lot of things that come to my mind, but the first one is like judgment from others, like a fear of not fitting in with people around you. So I think at least what MOCO Club tries to do is build these connections between people and find how you're similar to someone with you, whether it's something really small like your career or something big like growing up in the same area or sharing the same background. I think like breaking that barrier of figuring out how you do relate to someone can kind of help you realize like, oh, maybe I am more similar to these people than I realize, and that's just one of the first steps to making friends is relating to each other.
Well, I think it's also a great thing geography-wise that not everyone can make it to downtown DC, and a lot of these sort of social clubs are based there. My final question for you, Jesse, is if people want to join, where should they go to do it?
Sure, great question. If you want to join, you can go to MOCO Walking Club on Instagram, and we have our Discord linked in the link in the bio. So you do have to have Discord downloaded on your phone, I believe, in order for the link to work, but you should just press the link and it'll allow you right into the Discord, and you can join our 920 members.
All right, Jesse, thank you so much for spending some time with us here on the Live Zone Prime Time. Happy trails. Hopefully it warms up a little bit and that snow
next week
falls so that you guys can get back out there.
Yeah, thank you so much for sharing your story. I really appreciate it.
No problem. All right, we're going to take another quick break, leaving you with a live picture from the National Harbor, the Capitol Wheel. When we come back, we're going to hear from the star of Shrinking Season 3, Jason Segel, talking all about his friendship with Harrison Ford, the special guest stars in this new season, and more. We'll be right back.
All right.
Thank you.
life is going to keep demonstrating what you need most.
We've got great friends.
It sucks that we're such good people.
Right?
Got a job that we love. It's a good life.
I know you want more.
Okay, bye, Jimmy.
Dude, how did you not ask her out?
Liz, you know I hate being spied on.
Hey, she's right though, man. That was painful.
What the hell?
I told you she liked him. Hey, got it. I got it.
Everybody, get out of my yard.
So that was part of the trailer for season 3 of the Apple TV Plus hit Shrinking. The Emmy-nominated dramedy returns this week. Season 3 premiere tomorrow, as a matter of fact. First, though, I got a chance to talk to star and co-creator Jason Segel all about this season's big-name guest stars, including one I think you'll be excited to see, his friendship with Harrison Ford, jealous of him about that, and a mini How I Met Your Mother reunion. Take a look.
This is one of those shows that I recommend to almost everyone I know. And one of the things that I always tell them is that the ensemble is so great. And what makes it so unique is no matter what combination of characters is on the screen, it just works. And I was wondering, in your opinion, as someone who has been part of some legendary ensembles, what is the magic recipe to this? Is it the acting? Is it the casting? Is it the writing, or some sort of combination of all three?
Well, I think the writing, it all starts with the writing for sure, because if you're doing not so great material, the thing's not going to be great. I don't think there's a really cheat code around that. But I do think that in terms of the ensemble, I'm not making this up, but from like table read 1, everyone arrived with the intention to kill. You know, like I know what to look for, and like people's scripts were marked up and like earmarked, and there were like little notes of how to turn the joke right and all that. And I was looking around like, oh, everyone's here to kill today. And I think that a big part of that too is Harrison Ford, because Harrison Ford could show up to the show however he wants. He's Harrison Ford. He could just say line every time it was his time to speak, and someone could say it and he could repeat it. We'd be thrilled. This guy shows up to make each scene as good as it can possibly be. He treats everyone like their teammates, and like a carpenter, like we're here to build a show together. And I think that sets the tone.
I think everyone has gotten to see a different side of him as well a little bit, even from that behind the scenes video from the season 2 wrap. Did you even know he had that side?
Yeah, look, I can't give too much away, but there's the gruff Paul, and maybe gruff Harrison in interviews, like a persona. But I've actually had really intimate talks with Harrison as we talk about the show and the themes and all that. And he's given me amazing life advice. He's my friend. And like, I've seen all these sides of him. It's really crazy to say that, but like, there's a reason that he's been an artist for all these years. He's just like, he's all of it.
What are you in for?
Parkinson's. You?
His haircut.
So when you have that tight of an ensemble, and now you're welcoming in some new faces, Jeff Daniels and Michael J. Fox this season, what was that like?
All of these things are such thrills that people want to participate in the show. They're always people that I've admired since I'm young, and so then to all of a sudden be watching them work and to have them be fans of us, it's all crazy, it all just feels crazy.
And you also have a little bit of a reunion as well, because Kobe Smulders is back now for season 3 as well. Was it fun to reunite? And is it a little weird to go from playing friends for so long to maybe playing more than friends this time around?
I've been wanting to do something like this with Kobe for a really long time. Our storylines never really overlapped that much in How I Met Your Mother, and just think she's the best human being and the best actor. We have a really similar ethos about work, that this doesn't have to be hard. You can still be really pleasant and do great work. And so like all of it was a total joy. And it felt really, really natural to do this kind of dating storyline, I think because we've known each other for 20 years.
Finally, The show obviously is about therapy and the impact it can have on people's lives. Has this show been therapeutic for you?
It's been very calming for me, for sure. You know, like it's really neat when it all comes together. Everybody is nice. Everybody works hard. People like the show. The show is good. Yeah, it's a very calming experience for me.
Well, we can't wait to check out season 3. Jason, thank you so much. It's been an honor.
Hey, thanks, man. Likewise.
And just a reminder, you can catch the season 3 premiere of Shrinking on Wednesday on Apple TV Plus. Tony P, I'm not sure if you've ever
That
watched
was
the
awesome,
show. I don't know
dude.
if you've ever watched the show.
That was great.
But if you are, did you ever watch Ted Lasso?
Yes, of course.
Okay,
Oh yeah,
so
totally.
This is
not the whole
sort of
thing,
a
but like,
spiritual successor to Ted Lasso
Right.
in terms of its positivity, the messaging, and also Brett Goldstein, who played Roy Kent.
Yes.
is not only a co-creator, he's one of the writers, and he stars in season. He has a guest starring role in
Right.
season 2, and he'll be back again in season 3.
it's a wholesome
as
show.
well.
It just feels like How I Met Your Mother met a little Ted Lasso, and there's this kind of. I just find it to be very, very wholesome. And I got to tell you, watching you two interview together was a lot of fun. You asked great questions, my friend. You've always reminded me of a Jason Segel.
Okay,
you
so-
always like you get a little bit of that
You are
Segel
not
energy.
The first
I knew
person
it.
to ever tell me that. I went to a party like post college
Yeah,
one time, and that was the first thing someone said to me. And this was peak, Forgetting Sarah Marshall, like Jason
Right,
Segel
yeah.
too. So I was a little bit chubbier at the time, and you know we had similar dad bods, even though at the time we were not dad father
Right, not
figures
yet.
type of a thing. Not yet. Yeah, I jumped the gun on that one. But I have been a huge fan of his ever since How I Met Your Mother. But his career, he goes even further back than that. People remember him from Freaks and Geeks. He kind of hooked up with Judd Apatow and that gang really
Right.
early. He is also, you know, the puppet, obviously, aspect from Forgetting Sarah Marshall. Also, he did the Muppet movie when that came back.
That's right.
And he, you know, he's just gone on to do. Also, one of the other co-creators of the show is Bill Lawrence, who also did Scrubs, and he also did Spin City with Michael J. Fox. And so he has kind of
Right.
brought Michael J. Fox out of retirement multiple
I love that.
times.
This is wonderful that
Including
he's in the
now
series.
in this show, and
Yep.
I'm really excited to see this. It's not really a spoiler in any way, shape, or form, but Harrison Ford's character Paul, who is a mentor and a co-worker to Jimmy, played by Jason Segel, has Parkinson's in the show, and
Wow.
so that's a big part of his storyline.
Yep.
It will be in this season, so it makes sense that Michael J. Fox would now be in the show.
No,
and
it
he
just-
plays
yeah.
a patient at a center that Harrison
yep.
Ford's character is at as well.
And I think about, again, like it tells true stories, but it does it in a very heartfelt way. This series it exudes warmth to me, and I'm excited to watch some more.
It really
of it.
does, and like I said, no matter what combination of characters end up on the screen together, it works.
It's a great
And
ensemble.
Jessica Williams, I have the biggest crush on her because of this show, because she is so funny and just she's amazing. Thank you to
Wow.
everyone who joined us here on the Live Zone Primetime.
Yes.
For Tony P, I'm producer Chris. Fox 5 News at 10 coming up next right here on Fox Local. We'll see you back here tomorrow night at 9.